The call of the Hogs can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
You're listening to Pod at the Palace with Curtis Wilkerson on Inside Arkansas.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome into the show. Hope everybody's doing well today. Let's take a moment here from the top to just appreciate maybe what we're going to get to experience on Saturday in Fayetteville. You know, Arkansas basketball has been a wild ride, to put it mildly, in year one under John Calipari here. I mean, we've had highs and lows and unforgettable memories and hair-pulling moments and a little bit of everything in between so far, haven't we? Has it gone the way we expected? Nah, no way. But does it make for one heck of an exciting finish here? No question whatsoever. Saturday is going to be special, and I do hope that everybody can kind of fully understand and embrace the moment that we get to have here. And what that is you've got a shorthanded team of Razorbacks, 7 players who've been resilient. They fought, they scratched, they clawed. They went and got an incredible win at Vanderbilt a couple of days ago to set the stage for something that might be a little bit unprecedented. If you think about it, I couldn't recall another time where this was the case, but maybe somebody else here in the chat can. Arkansas may be in good enough shape to get to where it doesn't matter the outcome of Saturday's game, but I certainly don't want to chance it. Here's what I do know. When Mississippi State comes to town Saturday morning, it is a win and you're in NCAA tournament game, period. Hogs get it done, they're in. They're going dancing. Not only that, but John Calipari has a 5-star, top 3 ranked forward, Nate Ament, in the house for an official visit. I mean, Bud Walton Arena is going to be absolutely buzzing for this one. 11 a.m. start. I don't care if it was 6 a.m., honestly. It's going to be a hornet's nest in there, and I'm here for it. I'm fired up. I can't wait. Let's talk about both parts of this maybe and buckle up, because this might be a little bit of a longer episode than normal, but, March, right? It's what we do this time of year. But I do want to start with Nate Ament, and for those who are watching on YouTube, I'm going to go ahead and play a little highlight clip while we talk about Nate as a player here. So let me pull that up. There you go. You got it on the right side there. 6'9" wing out of Virginia, consensus top 5 player in his class. Big deal, big time player. He's a top uncommitted player in the 2025 class at this point. Absolutely a lethal shooter. Can really, really shoot it. At 6'9", you love to see it, right? He can get to his spots. I think he's evolving his off the bounce game to create space and separation. Probably best served as a 3, but he can play the small ball 4 with you, especially if you have a bruiser in there at center. Really, really good high level recruit and pro prospect. He doesn't have to be ball dominant to function, out there on the floor. People like to do the player comps thing. Okay, listen, from a visual, physical standpoint at this stage, kind of reminds me of Kevin Durant, honestly. And again, not necessarily the player, but the build, right? The frame. 6'7", or excuse me, 6'9". He's kind of thin, doesn't have the broadest shoulders. I've seen some comments about his skinny ankles, right? But he needs to put on some weight, add some strength. Well, so did KD. His game, though, the way he plays, it will depend on the role that he has wherever he winds up. It kind of reminds me of what Jabari Smith brought to Auburn, maybe. And honestly, like, if you think that's crazy or you think it's too lofty or whatever, keep in mind that Nate Ament's being unanimously projected as a top 5 pick in the 2026 NBA draft. Like, some generational type talent there. One of the best college basketball players over the last, 5-10 years in Jabari Smith, but he's that high of a prospect. He's elite. Top 5 schools, we know this: Duke, Kentucky, Tennessee, Louisville, Arkansas. We've talked about Nate a lot on this show, honestly, and the message has been the same since the fall with him, right? Arkansas has always kind of been that wild card in his recruitment. And, it just, here they are, they're always there, right? But they're flying under the radar a little bit. Not so much anymore. You hear about other schools and, Duke and Kentucky's making a push, whatever. But every week or two, doesn't it feel like we're catching wind that John Calipari is out there visiting him? He's popped up, showed up at a game at his school, wherever he's at. Arkansas has a game the next day, but there's Cal checking in on Nate Ament, right? How many times did I say that I'll really take it seriously if and when they get him on campus? Get him on campus. Get him on a visit. It's important. Stuff matters. We talk about NIL and everything like that, and yeah, I get it, right? But you still need to see the place. I know there were some rumors out there that, oh, he doesn't necessarily have to take a visit to commit somewhere and whatever. I still think that that's really important. Well, it's going down now. He'll be in the house on Saturday. John Calipari secured Nate's final visit. If Arkansas wasn't really a player in this recruitment, like if they hadn't made a push, this visit wouldn't be happening, would it? Be pointless. So, like, I'm not going to say, oh, Arkansas is your leader right now. But wait until you start to hear the post-visit buzz after this weekend. Arkansas is very much a player in the game here. Don't get it twisted. The NIL package is going to be there, right? I've heard Arkansas is safely well into the seven figures with Nate right now, and they've got the muscle to be the top bidder if they choose to. That's what they want to do. They can have the top bid for Nate. So, hey, you got that working for you. The NIL package, the atmosphere is going to be there. The environment's going to be there. And we know that John Calipari is an elite closer of elite talent. Wouldn't that be something? I've heard, like, oh, what about the fit? Would that be too many freshmen? Would it, how would it impact the portal and everything? I get it. I've seen a lot of those questions. I have a few quick thoughts that I'll share on that. First, I would encourage people who are asking those questions to try not to overcomplicate it, folks. Right? I mean, if you can get a guy who's in conversations to be the number one overall pick in the draft in a little over a year, you do it. No hesitation, no questions asked, right? We don't have to make this too complicated. It's not that tricky. Second, I don't think 3 impact freshmen is too many. I think people get a little bit caught up in, Cal's early exits in March and, had the young guys on the roster. But I think they also forget that those teams had Oscar Sheboy and Severe Wheeler and Keon Brooks and Davion Mintz and Kellen Grady and Antonio Reeves and Trey Mitchell and, year 2 Adu Thero and Ghana Onyenso. I mean, it wasn't all freshmen. I don't think that having freshmen, young players, is a sin. It's being completely or just overly reliant on them. That's what's risky, right? There's a balance to roster construction. And I know that we can look at Auburn, for example, and their 30-year-olds up and down the roster and be really impressed with what they've done. And that's fair. But Bruce Pearl's formula doesn't have to be yours, right? It doesn't mean that's the only way that it works. There's more than one way to skin a cat, right? At least that's what my grandparents used to tell me. There's only a handful of programs, I think, who can consistently compete for and land that elite level high school talent, that NBA type talent, one and done talent. Arkansas is one of them now with John Calipari at the helm. So why would you not take advantage of that? Especially with a guy like Ament who plays an entirely different position than Acuff and Thomas. And I don't think he has to be a ball dominant guy either. I really don't. I mean, if he's your best player, your most talented player, you want him getting his touches. But I don't see the clog issue necessarily. The way I view John Calipari's ideal roster build at Arkansas, I don't think about what Auburn's doing with all the old heads, or Alabama with all the returners and everything. There's going to be some flux there. To me, I kind of view it similarly to what John Shire and Duke have done this year. If you think about that, they've got Flagg and Conconepple and Malawach, and so all 3 big time impact freshmen. You got guys like Tyrese Proctor, Caleb Foster, returners coming back, culture setters who are back. And then they attack the portal very specifically for fit. How important are guys like Sion James, Mason Gillis, Malik Brown? These are all key guys to the operation. Maybe not the top ranked overall guy in the portal or whatever, but they went out and addressed their needs. Got veterans, got winners. So for Arkansas, couldn't that be like, your 3 elite freshmen? Acuff, Thomas, Ament if you get him. Very solid one in Sealy, who I think's got a really bright future. But then you return, three or four of Knox and Billy, maybe DJ or Trevin or Big Z, like some combination of those guys. And then you go get your 3-4 transfers to fill roles, whatever that may be. Like they probably need to go get a physical center, knockdown shooter or two, whatever. But sounds like a hell of a roster to me. You know what I mean? So I'm really anxious to see how this plays out. Anxious to see how the visit goes. I think that this is a statement type deal for John Calipari and this coaching staff to get Nate to take this visit. Sounds like he's going to commit in early April. We've heard April 1st, but I don't know that that's a finalized date necessarily. But Arkansas has made a big push here. The NIL is going to be there. Now you're getting them on campus. Game on. If I'm Duke, if I'm Kentucky, if I'm those other schools that are in the mix right now, I'm nervous. Anytime Cal's looming, man, if he's lurking on the recruiting trail, you worry about it. You wonder about it, right? We'll see how it goes. And we get a little bit more information after the visit. We'll obviously be there to share it with you. But let's switch gears a little bit to back to this year's team, right? But before we do that, do want to remind you guys about our friends over at Alumni Hall, right? It's the ultimate Razorback shopping experience. They got everything you need in terms of gear. You need to get swagged out for baseball season. They got all the jerseys, all the hats, all the new stuff, all the latest. Do that. Still in basketball mode. I was there rocking a DJ Wagner jersey a couple weeks ago. They've got it. The DJ Wagner NIL jersey. It's slick, man. A little bit of everything. We're going to be out there Friday. I can't wait to get out there. It's a cool place. The top brands, apparel, hats, Yetis, accessories, tailgate gear, and gifts. Every time you spend $150, you get a $10 reward the next time you go in there. If you're an Arkansas student, faculty, or military, show your ID, get 10% off. They're always getting new, awesome stuff over there. So make sure you go check them out. Alumni Hall in Fayetteville. It's 3417 North College Avenue in Fayetteville. Or you can shop InsideArkansas.com/alumni hall. Make sure you check them out. It's where Razorback fans, true Razorback fans, go to shop. Okay. Let's get back into it. Quickly, we'll try to go rapid fire here. I know y'all ain't got all day, or maybe you do. But let's talk bubble, resume updates, just kind of the post-Vandy pulse check, vibe check. And we'll talk a little bit of SEC tournament scenarios because I think it's fascinating, honestly, some of the stuff that's going on. So first, let's pull up our handy-dandy little team sheet, right? Where are we at? Boom. There we go. Let's look at the updates. What impact did this Vanderbilt win have? Because if you remember, after the South Carolina game, we pulled this thing up and it was ugly. It was nasty, right? Arkansas did really, really well for themselves to go get this quad one win, at Vanderbilt, pretty much just entirely erase the damage done at South Carolina. Like if you look at that net right there, after the South Carolina game, Arkansas went from 40 to 47. So not only did they make up all the ground by getting this win at Vandy, they picked up a spot, +8 to get up to 39th inside the top 40 in net. That's big time. A fifth quad one win. That's big time. The wins above bubble. We talked about how if you get inside the top 40 there, you feel really, really good about where you're at. That's a strong position to be in. Picked up 5 spots, got to 39, wins above bubble. Little bumps at Ken Pom and at Torvik and BPI. But that pesky KPI, man, that's been the one that consistently throughout the season, Arkansas has been just right outside the top 50 in. You don't want any of that. And they get bumped up 9 spots for that win. That's massive. Just like we were talking about after that Carolina loss, man, it's really rare for that much movement with this big of a sample size from one game. Well, the flip side in the good way is for this Vanderbilt game. You don't usually move 8 spots in the net, 9 spots in one of these key metrics for one win. But analytically speaking, when you were 7-8 point underdogs, right? And not only did you outperform expectations, you wound up beating them by 13. Like Arkansas outperformed what the analytics expect them to do by about 20 points on the road. That's a big deal. That's really good. So if you go look at the NCAA tournament odds and the changes there, well, Arkansas was at about 77% before that South Carolina game. They lost it. They dropped to 44% odds at Torvik to make the tournament. Now look at them, up 34%. One win on the road will do that for you, up to 78.2. That's a good place to be. They've got this other tool at Torvik where you can do it'll randomly pick 10 similar resumes to what you have. And then it gives you an idea of, like, did those teams make the NCAA tournament? Did they not? How did they fare when they got there? 8 out of the 10 similar resumes from Torvik to what Arkansas has right now made the NCAA tournament. It's funny that one of them that didn't was the 2022 Texas A&M team when Buzz Williams was he wrote the letter to the selection committee and he read it out loud. But their situation was a little bit different, remember, because they went an entire calendar month without winning a basketball game. And then they got hot late and they made the run to the SEC tournament finals. And I just don't know that they got maybe enough love for what they did in Nashville to get to where they wanted to be. The bracket matrix, I've been checking it out to see if it was going to update it. It wasn't quite updated by the time I recorded this, but I will say before the win, Arkansas was in 107 out of 128 updated brackets. They're probably going to be fairly unanimous, I would imagine, when everything kind of updates it. And what you got to do, like some people put out new brackets and stuff, but they do bracketologists what's called scrubbing. So they just kind of, because these numbers change, right? The net changes every day. Your analytics change every day. And so you just kind of go through and reseed everybody and then place them in brackets. I would imagine Arkansas is going to be in pretty much every single projection with a little bit of breathing room here, which is exactly where you want to be. And you see this right here. Stop reading ESPN. Stop listening to them. They don't know what they're doing. It's going to drive you crazy. And they've been catching a lot of heat for just kind of their flawed analytics, their flawed projections. And, who am I to say that something's not right, but they're not doing a good job? But when you have just factually incorrect information to back up what you're saying, I can't take you seriously. So I'm pulling this up right now. Here's what it said. It bumped Arkansas's chances up to 49%. Well, that's interesting because your own resident bracketologist has your chances much greater than that, right? But if you look at some of the things in here, yeah, we get it. Embarrassing loss at South Carolina. Okay, very good win against Vandy. Third win in 4 games. All that is true, right? I get all that. My first problem, halfway down, the Hogs are currently ranked 13th in the SEC in net. That's just not correct. And this was updated after the net updated, March 5th, 9:04 a.m. That's wrong. They're 11th. So you're already wrong about one thing you put in there, and that's a key metric, right? Yeah, the head-to-head wins. We see all that. Borderline as it gets. Well, people would disagree. As a mid-40s team by strength of record and wins above bubble, mid-40s. Interesting, because we just pulled this up, and I see wins above bubble inside the top 40. How can you be in the 30s, but you're telling us that you're mid-40s? My point is, get it right. If you're going to put your name on something, get your facts right. That's lazy. It's fraudulent. It's lazy. So whatever their algorithm is, it has Arkansas at 49%, odds of getting in the NCAA tournament. How the hell is anybody supposed to take that seriously when you don't even get the metrics right? Whatever. Let's talk about SEC tournament scenarios real quick, and then we'll get out of here. This is very, very fascinating what we're looking at. And I'll pull up our trusted little simulator. If you guys remember that from the other day. Okay, here we go. bball.notnothing.net/SEC. Again, if you ever want to hop in there and do this. Some crazy stuff here. Basically, the way this shakes out. If Arkansas and Georgia win on Saturday, that means the Razorbacks would actually get the 9 seed in the SEC tournament. Because if that happens, you're going to have a 4-way tie with Georgia and Vanderbilt, Arkansas, and Mississippi State. So let's put this in here real quick. We would have Arkansas beating Mississippi State, Georgia beating Vanderbilt. Calculate the seeds, and there you go. You can see it there with Arkansas. 9 seed above Mississippi State, Georgia, and Vandy based on a round-robin record, 3-0. How do you like this bracket? I hate it. Because by moving up to the 9 game, there's only like 2 opportunities you can have to get a quad 2 instead of a quad 1 in Nashville opportunity. And this is one of them. If you get to that 9 seed mark, they would play South Carolina again at noon. The last time Arkansas played South Carolina at noon, it didn't go well. I just like not playing at South Carolina. It would be an entirely different game if those two teams met again. But then a little potential second round action against Kentucky. Ooh, it could be fun. What do you guys think about that? You like that? I do. Another shot at the Wildcats. Man, oh man. And that's also assuming that Kentucky loses to Missouri this weekend. Right. So if they didn't, if Kentucky won that game, they would probably flip spots there with Ole Miss, and that would be the potential second round matchup. Now, if both Arkansas and Georgia lose this game, that changes things a little bit. So let me go back here. Let's say Mississippi State gets past Arkansas. Let's say Vandy beats Georgia. Then Arkansas is going to be in the 11 seed, because they've got that tiebreaker right now over Georgia. And then, Texas and Oklahoma play. It doesn't matter what the outcome of that is, because Arkansas's got the tiebreaker over Texas and Oklahoma can't catch them. So Oklahoma's pretty much locked into that 14 spot. And that would be your matchup there if you fall into the 11. So there we have it. That'd be the night game, Arkansas, Oklahoma. I want that rematch. I would want the rematch against Texas A&M too. I mean, I honestly wouldn't hate that at all. So a couple different ways that it could go. The only way, by the way, for Arkansas to get anything lower than the 11 seed is going to be if they lose to Mississippi State and Georgia beats Vanderbilt. And essentially, if that happens, then that locks you into a 12-13 game against Texas on Wednesday in Nashville. So there you have it. Those are your SEC tournament scenarios that are at play there. So, all right. That's it. That's all I got. Your resume update, your SEC tournament update, your Nate Ament update. What else is there to talk about? Oh, the game against Mississippi State. We'll do that tomorrow. Make sure you tap in for that. Appreciate everybody for tuning in as always. It's been Curtis Wilkerson with Inside Arkansas and the Pot the Palace. Catch you guys tomorrow.